Every day there's someone that's missing.
Tonight she's been missing for a year, and her mother takes to the streets of Winnipeg to find her.
Yes, you can drink the water now.
A First Nation in Saskatchewan comes out from under a 17-year-long boil water advisory.
I know just from hearing some of the feedback from some of the people that have seen the play that, it touched them.
And the child welfare system comes out of the courtroom and onto the stage at the Winnipeg Fringe Festival. Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. The family and friends of a woman who's been missing for over a year in Winnipeg hit the streets to hang posters and talk to people living in the North End. They're being helped by a community patrol and are hoping to spark leads as to where she may be. With more, here's T.R. Wheatley.
They came all the way from Black River to walk to.
Family members have traveled hours to help Beverly Crochet search for her daughter.
We don't want a dog charging us.
On the one-year anniversary of Leah Keeper's disappearance, Crochet got the Bear Clan Patrol mobile in the North End.
It's been a really difficult year for all of us, for the family, and especially her daughters.
The mother of two was officially reported missing in November 2023, but her family learned she was last seen on July 25, 2023 on these streets in Winnipeg's North End. This area is known to have gang violence, drugs, and trap houses. Because of that, many living here remain close. They often share information with the Bear Clan, who are made up mainly of community members volunteering and hoping to take their streets back. Angela Clausen leads Bear Clan's Missing Persons Unit.
We've been ongoing with this family since the beginning.
While on the streets, some people said they know Leah but haven't seen her in a long time.
The community is more willing to talk to us than to talk to police, and police realize that.
Clausen says in 2021, after an increase in missing Indigenous people in this city, the Bear Clan began working with the Winnipeg Police Service, or WPS.
In 2023, we did 210 bolos from Winnipeg Police. Of those 210 bolos, we have been able to successfully help them in locating 156 people.
Leah's mom is grateful for the relationship she has with the WPS investigators. She says they update her as much as they can.
In January, someone had called and stated that she was deceased, but they went to investigate, and whoever was giving that information and wasn't accurate, they did search with her banking, they did search with her EIA, and they checked all the hospitals.
WPS haven't always been applauded by the Indigenous community here. They are often criticized for being slow to investigate or not doing anything at all. The stories are often the same with police forces across the country. But Leah's family say the solution shouldn't come from police alone. Her aunt Marilyn Kershane says protecting Indigenous women and girls is a national problem.
Every day there's someone that's missing. The politicians have to pull their weight.
Before Leah became homeless and lost to these streets, she had graduated and worked at the Women's Hospital as a health clerk, but without access to proper mental health services to deal with intergenerational and childhood trauma, Leah began using drugs to cope. Leah was trying to get better and was waiting for a spot in a treatment center. Only here in this province, wait times average 4 months. Her aunt says that's too long for someone needing help now, a sad reality, she says, for many beyond her niece.
How do we fix ourselves? Do we start doing, family healing circles? Do we share things amongst each other? Do we go back to our ways of traditional healing? And I believe that we should be doing that kind of thing.
Leah's mother agrees. But as for right now, she remains focused on making sure Leah's kids have the supports they need as they deal with not having their mom around.
To hope that we will be able to locate her. I walk that traditional path, and I say my prayers. But we still need people out there. If anybody, knows anything.
WPS say this is still an ongoing missing person investigation. T.R. Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
To the fire situation now, and members of a First Nation in northern Manitoba have been forced to leave their homes due to an out-of-control fire. Today, some of them arrived in Winnipeg. Members of the Marcel Colombe First Nation were evacuated to Lynn Lake, Thompson, and the Paw. 180 have been transported to Winnipeg. The community of approximately 328 registered members is located 1,000 kilometers north of the city. On Friday, the province's fire bulletin reported the blaze had grown to 824 hectares. the size of over 2,000 football fields. According to federal numbers, 23 First Nations are currently impacted by wildfires, with 7, including 2 in Manitoba, under evacuation. Across the country, over 7,600 First Nations people have been evacuated due to fires. In Jasper, Alberta, crews are taking advantage of the rain to make as much progress as possible to stop the spread of the massive wildfire. But for many people, the wall of flames swallowed homes, buildings, and memories.
Yeah, our home burned to the ground, is what we know. And our whole side of town, which is the west side of town, most of it is gone.
The Jasper wildfire has grown to 360 square kilometers. 1/3 of all structures in the town site have been damaged or destroyed. Jasper's mayor is calling the damage his worst nightmare. Landmarks like the Maine Lodge are gone, but critical infrastructure like schools and hospitals have been saved. Premier Danielle Smith spoke after she and Emergency Prepared Minister Harjit Singh Sajan toured the Wildfire Training Centre in Hinton. The owners
and the incredibly hard work of firefighters have resulted in fire activity that is significantly subdued. However, it is important to note that the fire is still out of control and it remains unsafe for people to return. There'll be some we can't have unlimited re-entry into the park at this time. And I do want to express deep gratitude to the brave men and women currently on the ground in Jasper who are working tirelessly to save as much as they can.
To the north now, and the owners of the Yukon mine where a landslide caused cyanide to spill into a nearby creek have failed to meet a deadline given to them by the government of Yukon. Last week, the government instructed Victoria Gold to beef up safety where the leak happened. The company failed to meet that deadline. As a result, the Yukon government has stepped in and hired another contractor to build a raised barrier. The barrier or berm is needed to create a safe working zone in the failure area so the groundwater monitoring and interception wells can be built. Those wells are needed to measure for contamination and for pumping any contaminated water to the surface for treatment. However, a forest fire in that area is blocking the access road to the mine site, delaying construction. Contractors will head to the mine site once the road is safe to begin construction of the berm.
To be very clear, Yukon government is stepping in to undertake only specific environmental protection measures. We are not at this time taking over the site. VGC, Victoria Gold, remains responsible for the site, for the impacts of the failure, and for compliance with its licenses, legislation, and all other measures in the inspector's directions issued to date.
With a record-breaking 6 candidates on the ballot, it took multiple rounds of voting for delegates to elect a new national chief for the Dene Nation. It was a tense race, but a new leader has been elected. It was standing room only after a full 9 hours of voting. In the end, it's George McKenzie who will do double duty as Dene National Chief and AFN Regional Chief for the next 4 years. His 57% majority was enough to beat Jerry Cheesy, former chief of Smith's Landing First Nation. McKenzie is a veteran educator and Grand Chief of the Clecho Nation. The assembly wrapped up today.
To me, personally, Dene Nation needed a boost. And I feel with this annual gathering has given a good boost. With past leaders involved, past leaders listening, are here in the room.
After 17 long years, the Star Blanket Cree Nation in Saskatchewan has lifted its drinking water advisory, thanks to a new water treatment plant. The community of 300 is located about 100 kilometers northeast of Regina. It's been on a boil water advisory since 2007. The federal government dedicated $10.5 million to fund a water treatment plant. It uses biological filtration and membrane treatment to provide clean drinking water to residents. At a facility tour attended by Indigenous Services Minister Patty Haidu on Thursday, Star Blanket Chief Michael Starr expressed relief.
And that's part of our, our energies, if you will, our natural laws, if you will, of our land, and it's very significant that we, are part of it, and that we are able to say that yes, you can drink the water now.
We're always looking to get your feedback on anything you see here or would like to see here. Here's how to continue the conversation. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, you can go to our website. That's aptnnews.ca. You can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. A big decision by Canada's Supreme Court today, and a Cree father-son duo will compete on one of Canada's top reality shows. Those stories and more still to come. Welcome back. Mary Ellen Turpel-Lafond is a former judge and Order of Canada recipient. She was also accused of falsely claiming to be Cree. But according to the Law Society of British Columbia and a recent DNA test, she most likely has Indigenous heritage. 2 years ago, CBC News investigated her Indigenous identity and called into question claims her father was Cree. Both the Law Society and an independent geneticist say in a recent report that Turpel-Lafond has very recent ancestors with substantial Indigenous DNA. The report also notes Turpel-Lafond misrepresented some of her credentials and has been ordered to pay $10,000 to a nonprofit organization that supports Indigenous justice. Turpel-Lafond previously served as British Columbia's representative for children and youth, and has long been a well-known lawyer and advocate on Indigenous rights. Canada's Supreme Court says the Crown has dishonorably breached the Robinson Treaties and now must negotiate a settlement with several First Nations in Ontario within the next 6 months. The Robinson Huron plaintiffs have negotiated a $10 billion settlement, but the Robinson Superior Group continued their suit. Both treaties were signed in 1850. They've ceded large swaths of Ontario to the Crown for annual payments to the Anishinaabe around Lake Huron and Lake Superior. Annuities were to increase over time, but they were frozen at $4 a person in 1875. If the two parties cannot come to an agreement, the Crown sets out an award for damages on its own. The Robinson Superior Group can challenge the amount in court if it chooses. A Cree father and son duo from Saskatchewan have their eyes set on the grand prize as they compete on the latest season of Amazing Race Canada. Video journalist Rachel May caught up with the pair.
To be the first father-son Indigenous duo is something that we don't take for granted. We understand that representation matters, and to be able to showcase two healthy individuals is something that we need to be able to showcase more on mainstream media.
Michael and Amari Linklater, members of the Thunderchild First Nation, are the first Indigenous father-son duo on Amazing Race Canada. The pair joined 10 other teams to travel across the country and complete various challenges, aiming to avoid being the last team. Amari is a college basketball player, while Michael is a former professional basketball player as well. He said their diverse experience makes them a well-rounded team, but the game is filled with diverse pairs.
And the interesting thing is, when you look at a lot of the past teams, People, I think, may get deterred because maybe they're not physically fit as they think they should be. But when you look, it's not about like strength or bronze, like it's a balance.
During the show, the duo experienced mishaps, including Michael giving Amari incorrect directions that turned the team around. Amari said that despite any setbacks they faced, there was always an amazing moment at the end of each challenge.
I would say, all the times that we've gotten to the mat and heard that we weren't the last team there is always a great feeling.
The team said that the show had taught them a lot, including how to keep one foot in front of the other when new parts of each challenge kept popping up. Amari said his determination to embrace challenges like the Amazing Race comes from his dad.
And everything I've learned from him, and he's been a great role model for me, and I'm kind of just trying to take after his footsteps.
Michael and Amari continue their adventures on new episodes of The Amazing Race Canada that air Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on CTV. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Fun stuff. The first father-son Indigenous duo sounds like a superhero group. Good luck to them. Time for one last break. Still to come, an arts festival in Edmonton is heading into its final days.
We get a little dramatic, so to speak.
Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Lila Pierre snapped this photo of the summer sunset as seen from the Star Blanket First Nation along Trout Lake in the Northwest Territories. Thank you for sharing, Lila. You can submit your photos to us by emailing share@aptn.ca, and you could be our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at Saturday's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, 25 in Halifax, 28 in Fredericton. Showers and 16 in Kuujjuaq, rain in Nain and a high of 19. Sunny and 29 in Montreal, 27 in Val-d'Or. Sunny and 27 for Sault Ste. Marie and North Bay. Showers and 30 in Thunder Bay, rain and 28 in Sioux Lookout. 29 in God's Lake, showers and 25 in Norway House. Rain in Winnipeg with a high of 29, 27 in Dauphin. Sunny skies and 28 for Regina, 23 with showers in Saskatoon. 18 in rain in Meadow Lake, 19 with showers in La Ronge. Showers across northern Alberta, 26 in High Level, 25 in Fort Chip. 22 in Edmonton, 28 in Lethbridge. Sun's out and 22 in Vancouver, 30 with showers in Penticton. 25 in Prince George, 23 for Smithers. 17 and showers in Old Crow and Beaver Creek, 18 with rain in Whitehorse. 24 in Yellowknife, sun's out and 26 in Wrigley. 9 in Sax Harbor, showers and 19 in Pawlatuck. 11 for Chesterfield, sunny and 17 for Baker Lake. 3 in Resolute, 10 in Joe Haven. The adoptee experience is taking center stage in a play called Agency that's debuting at the Winnipeg Fringe Festival. Reporter Sierra Benton sat down with actors Renata Meekons and Cynthia Wolfe-Nolan, who play a mother and daughter impacted by the 60s scoop.
At the Winnipeg Fringe Festival, a new play takes conversations about the child welfare system outside the courtroom and on to the stage. Titled Agency, it follows 3 adoptees, a British home child from the 1910s, a Korean child adopted in the 90s, and a 60s scoop survivor adopted in the 70s. It was created by playwright Barb Janes and directed by Marcia Knight. Actor Cynthia Wolfe-Nolan plays an Anishinaabe adoptee named Claire. For Wolfe-Nolan, who grew up in the child welfare system, the story is deeply personal.
This play itself actually sort of talks about that. We claim that we've made all these huge leaps with the child and welfare system, but in fact, being one of those children in the child and welfare system, yes, I was privy to a lot of good things, you know, in life, and at the same time, how far have we actually come? We still have lots of children in care.
Throughout the play, Claire navigates the maze of the child welfare system, longing to reconnect with her mother Marlene, played by Renata Mikons.
But it also shows the perspectives and stories of the adoptive mothers and the birth mothers, and it really is multifaceted, and using the analogy of the maze is how the story is told.
Manitoba, where the play is debuting, has the highest rate of children in foster care in Canada. Mikons, who comes from the Penebatang First Nation, describes the adoptee experience as a play's uniting force, connecting different backgrounds to a shared experience.
I know just from hearing some of the feedback from some of the people that have seen the play that, you know, it touched them, it made them very emotional. You know, it does bring experiences to life that are close to us.
While she won't drop too many spoilers, Wolf Nolan hints at breaking the fourth wall, urging the audience to continue the conversation about the child welfare system.
I do break the wall at the end, and it's a big question that is presented, and that's where it lies. You know, it's the same thing from the beginning, but now it's given back to the audience to decide.
Agency plays at the Asper Centre for Theatre and Film at the University of Winnipeg until Saturday. Sierra Bettens, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Sounds really good. I haven't got to one Fringe Festival play, so that could be the one. To another festival now. The 10-day Rubaboo Arts Festival in Edmonton wraps up Sunday. The event showcases plays, workshops, dance, and more. For 15 years, the festival has showcased talent from Indigenous storytellers, performers, and artists who celebrate and teach about their cultures in an entertaining way. This year's theme is You Are Loved. Friday to Sunday features a project from Teresa Cutknife and Samantha Fraughton called Talk Treaty to Me. It's about exploring Treaty 6 through the perspectives of Canadian and Indigenous law.
I would hope that even if you know nothing about the treaty, that you get to walk away with even just a little bit more information, but also that you get to have some moments of laughter and maybe a little tear here and there. We get a little dramatic, so to speak.
Also looks good, but would be quite a drive to make it there in time for Sunday. That is all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Friday. But don't forget to tune in tomorrow and Sunday for APTN National News Weekend, where we look back on the big news from the week. Of course, for updates on the latest news anytime, you can visit our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward, Marcy McGuitch. Thanks for being with us. Have a great night.